Hi friends, this is Dawn, and today I decided I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm making for dinner this evening. And it's just a standard meatloaf, which is a staple of many families, and it's very popular around the family table. It's very simple to make, and so I had some ground beef thawed out from my freezer. And so this recipe calls for about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and I like to use the 80-20, which gives the meatloaf a good flavor. And so of course I take it and kind of squish it all around, and then I take the panko, and some people just use breadcrumbs, some people use saltine crackers they've crushed up. But anyway, so I'm gonna use some panko, and I'll use about 3/4 of a cup of that to give it some binding. And then mix that around in there. And then we'll put in some ketchup, which of course is one of the most important aspects of the meatloaf to give it flavor. Ketchup is 3/4 of a cup divided, so I leave back about 1/4 of a cup for the glazing at the end. So I'm going to put some ketchup in. And then kind of mix that around. And also I want to put in an egg. And so I'll go ahead and put in 1 egg. I'm gonna mix that in. I know some people do it all at the same time, but I want to kind of give it a mix with each ingredient, which makes it a little messier, but okay. And then we want to put in our onion. So it's 1/2 cup of minced onion. And put some garlic. 2 teaspoons of garlic, minced garlic. And then tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. So I use this brand. Kind of making it messy, so I'll have to wipe off this bottle, but I like to kind of incorporate each item separately, which some people don't, but it does make it a little messier. Okay, then also I want to put in some thyme, as well as some ground pepper and some salt. And so really with this recipe, about 1 teaspoon of thyme, about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And this recipe that I started with called for 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper, but I lowered that a little bit to about 1/2. And then I just kind of put them all together in a bowl. And so mix those around. So you get your consistency really good. It's really mixed well. I can show you the consistency. Okay, so then you have to begin to form it into the loaf. And I feel like maybe it needs a little bit more panko. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So this is, if I added just maybe a little bit more meat than the 1.5 pounds, just a little bit more panko with this. Okay, so that's one thing you want to think about when you do a recipe is, you know, don't just completely follow a recipe if you don't like a certain thing, or if you don't want to add onions and you just want to put in like onion powder, or, you know, because some people don't like that in their meal, or if you don't have any garlic or something, you could use garlic powder, garlic salt or something. And I don't know, people have probably tried barbecue sauce or chili sauce or something with it. Some people maybe add a little bit more zest to it, more spice. But anyway, so you form it into kind of just a ball, and then you kind of make it into a loaf. And my pan is about 4 by maybe 4 by 8, 4 by 9, something like that, a loaf pan, which I greased with a little bit of cooking spray just so the meatloaf doesn't stick to the bottom. And so anyway, so you just get your loaf in a nice little shape. You just kind of let it sort of form into the pan. You don't really want to press it down too much, but I always kind of make a little area in the center that's kind of pressed down a little bit more, where we can put the ketchup glazing. So anyway, so you get your meatloaf, and I am going to peel some red potatoes and boil those for dinner as well. I'm just trying to get my meatloaf down into the corner a little bit. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I have it prepared, and so I'm going to put it into a 350 oven, and I'm going to bake it for, I'm going to start off with 30 minutes and then go up to 45 minutes. But I want to get it to 165 for the temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven. And I feel like that I don't want to overcook the meatloaf and burn it. So I of course want to check on it and see how it's doing at the 30-minute mark. It's supposed to be 45 minutes. So at least that's what this recipe said. Okay, so I'm going to take the meatloaf and put the glazing on it. Okay, so we're gonna put the glazing on. Meatloaf is fairly close to being done. So I'm gonna take some of this ketchup that I had remaining and put it on the top of the meatloaf. Just gonna use a spatula, just rub it over the top. Okay, so put it back into the oven for another 5 minutes or so. Glazing set up. Okay, so I set the timer there for like 5 minutes. See how it looks at that point. And of course I want to make sure the meatloaf is at 165. I'm pretty certain it is. But anyway, it should be ready shortly. Okay, Okay, so I checked the temperature and it was up to 165. So I've plated it, and I'll go about 1 inch cut. Okay, so it looks really good. Okay, so here is our dinner for this evening. Just a traditional meatloaf, some boiled potatoes. I added some butter, salt, pepper, and parsley, and then decided to go with just some green beans. So a very simple, standard meal, but an all-time favorite. Thanks for watching.